welcome. So, today we are dedicating this stream to the memory of Irina Zarutska. She was a gorgeous young Ukrainian girl who fled war-torn Ukraine and came here to the U.S. On Friday, she was savagely murdered. And the video of what happened is all over X. So I'm not showing the video, but we're going to talk about what happened, and we're going to talk about, how this gorgeous young girl had her whole life ahead of her. She was just 23. 23. She did nothing wrong. The video shows that she got on the train to go home from work at 10 p.m. at night, and she sat down, was minding her own business, and this person behind her pulled out a knife, and he sat there staring at her and staring at the knife. You can tell he is, I should say, emotionally challenged or mentally challenged, however you want to word it. And he moved the knife from his left hand to his right hand, and he stood up behind her, pulled his arm up over his head, and thrust the knife into her throat. Now, that is what happened. Now, after that happened, the mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, praised the mainstream media for not talking about Irina. Run that by you again. The mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, said she praised the mainstream media for not showing the video of Irina and what happened to her. Okay, so the mayor has since kind of walked that back and said, different things, but everybody is trying to make this about race because the attacker was black and Irina was white. It's not about race. It is not about race. We need to take the racial card out of everything because he was a clearly mentally ill man that had been arrested 13 previous times. Hey, Brother Michael. Been arrested 13 previous times. 13. For violence against women, for assault and battery, for larceny. This makes his 14th arrest, and for the mayor of Charlotte to say, we can't arrest our way out of this. Excuse me. If we had a 3 strikes and you're out law, he would be in jail. Irina would be alive. That is a fact. And we have these liberal activist judges, that's what I call them, that let him out on a no cash bail when he was, just arrested last year. Yet these people think that coddling the criminal will solve the problem. What solves the problem is showing the criminal you will be held accountable. Whether that's 4 years in prison, 5 years in prison, life in prison, whatever. If you show them that they will be made to account for their actions, then the crime rates go down. Look at Bukele in El Salvador. Okay, in El Salvador, before Bukele took office, the crime rate was 161 murders per thousand. Bukele took office and he made this massive prison that they call CCOT, where he sends all violent felons and gang members to. You know what their crime rate is now? 1.4 per thousand. So now run that by me again, how punishment doesn't work. You know, Irina was a gorgeous girl. She was an aspiring model. And to have her cut down in this tragic fashion is awful. It's tragic. But what's more tragic is that the mainstream media, including Wikipedia, are trying to cover it up. If you go on Wikipedia and search for Irina Zarutska, you will find one article, and at the bottom it says, the editor has flagged this article for deletion. Nothing out of the ordinary happened here. That's proof that they never watched the video. Because if you watch the video itself is horrendous. Even though hey, Lua, even though they blur out when he actually stabs her in the neck, they show everything up until that point. They show she gets on the train. She simply walks over and sits down in a chair. She takes out her phone. She minds her own business. She doesn't talk to no one around her. She just sits there, minding her own business. And you could see him over her shoulder looking at her. Then he pulls his knife out and opens the knife up, and he sits there looking at the knife for almost a minute. And then he jumps up and he puts the knife up over his head and thrusts it in the side of her neck. That is tragic. But Wikipedia says nothing out of the ordinary happened here. They're trying to cover it up. And Harmeet Dillon was on the Benny Show this morning, and she said that they are investigating Charlotte along with other cities for treating criminals of different colors differently. She said that's not allowed. She said it is not allowed to offer someone a more lenient sentence just because of the color of their skin. Which I think that's good. I think that they should all be treated the same. And Benny went on this rant this morning that our death penalty takes too long to you know, take effect, that if they do something like this and they've proven to be a career criminal, that they shouldn't get 40 years of appeals, which I don't know how that works. But something that he brought up that I agree with, that there should be a federal law that says if you're a career criminal and you commit the same felony, violent felony, 3 times, that's it. You should be out of society. And I agree with that because, while the left will say, well, it doesn't deter crime. Actually, yes, it does. Because the person that you send away on that third crime for life, they will never commit a crime again. That message will get sent along to others. So they will not be as willing to sit there and say, yeah, well, they're not going to do nothing, so I can just do what I want. And they'll just let me back out anyhow. Because, while this is tragic, Irina like I started to say, Irina was an aspiring model. She had her whole life ahead of her. She was just 23 years old. 23. And she fled war-torn Ukraine because madman Putin was blowing up hospitals and daycares. It literally was not safe for no one in Ukraine. So she came here, she's been here for 2 years, and then this happens, and, people are trying to make it a race thing when it's not. Crime is crime. Crime is crime. I want us to remember Irina Zarutska, and maybe they could make an Irina's law. 3 violent felonies and you get life. Where they had an issue with the previous 3 strikes law is it said any 3 felonies. I think it should be any 3 violent felonies. Because this dude was arrested. This is the 14th time. How many times is too much? And it says, his rap sheet says most of his crimes were violence against women. When are we as a society going to wake up and say, hey, no, that's not allowed? So that's what I got for y'all today. Just want us to remember Irina, that she was a Ukrainian refugee, that she fled war-torn Ukraine with her whole life ahead of her, and she ended up here in the U.S. in Charlotte, North Carolina. Who would have thought Charlotte, North Carolina would be more dangerous than Chicago or New York, right? But that's what I got for y'all today. Take care, and we will see you again soon. Bye.